to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing something very important because today is October 9th. Today is PANDAS Awareness Day. This is something incredibly important to me and that has affected me greatly. Those of you who know will know, those of you who don't will soon find out. So that's what today's video is about, so please give this a watch, because ideally I'd like to ask for your help. But first, let's find out what is PANS and PANDAS, because I imagine a lot of you may know, because even myself, having it, well, PANS, I didn't know the acronym, what it was, and I only really know loosely what it is, and obviously only having some of the symptoms, I don't know what they all are, so I'm going to give them to you now. Starting with PANDAS. Now, I'm going to get the joke out early. It is not people walking around with pandas all over their shirts and stuff. Otherwise, my mummy would most definitely have it. No, PANDAS is an acronym. It stands for Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorders Associated with Strep Infections. Now, that sounds really confusing. And to an extent, it is. But when you see what it does and begin to understand it, it's not so bad. Most people have heard of strep infections. A lot of people get them. Now, this is, well, as it says, neuropsychiatric. That means your brain, simply. I mean, you know, there's lots of different things. But anyway, skipping that, it means your brain. So it means instead of the strep infection just infecting your throat and stuff, because I think that's what it is, although I've never had it, so I can't tell you for sure. But you can find out, Google it, I don't know. But instead of it just affecting that, it also affects your brain. Because it's an autoimmune condition, your body fights itself. You get taught that in school, about, you know, white blood cells and stuff and what they do. Well, anyone with an autoimmune condition, instead of fighting the virus, it also fights you, and that can affect people in many different ways. For people with PANDAS and with PANS, it affects their brain, it goes to their brain. But, you know, people can have it in their limbs, it can cause arthritis. I think a few people watching this video will be able to know someone who's been affected by that, because, you know, we went to school. But it can affect people in lots of different ways, autoimmune conditions. You've heard about them, many people have talked about them, but not these ones. And that's what we're trying to change here. But now, let's move on to PANS. PANS, as you might have guessed, is also an acronym. It stands for Pediatric Acute Onset Neuropsychiatric Syndrome. By the way, I'm not going to pretend that I've memorized this permanently. I just memorized it for this video because we all call it PANS and PANDAS within the community, and that's what it's always referred to. It's, unless you want to give a full diagnosis and that kind of thing, you want to fully describe it, then you'd use these full names, but you can find them. So PANS is slightly different due to the fact that it's not caused by strep. It's not that specific. It is just a general autoimmune condition that affects the brain in a very similar, well, the same way as PANDAS. Although with PANS, it tends to be a little bit faster. That's why it's acute onset. That's basically what that means. Fast and tragically quick and unable to, you know, sort of determine where it is. Now, they both have very similar symptoms, and I call them effects because I've had it, so for me it affects me, whereas for other people looking at it, it would be a symptom of it to diagnose it. But I've always called them effects, so if you hear me jumping around between the effects of it and the symptoms of it, that's because my brain's jumping between the two, because that's different ways of saying the same thing, really. But I'm trying not to do that too much. So now we're going to take a look at the symptoms/effects of what these conditions mean for the person, what they actually do, because it's all very well saying it attacks the brain and, you know, this is an autoimmune condition and all this kind of medical mumbo jumbo, as I like to call it, but what does it actually mean? Now I'm going to list and give you examples of, it's the same thing really, but give you examples of symptoms/effects of PANS and PANDAS. Now, obviously, I'm slightly more familiar with the ones that I've experienced myself, but that is by no means all of the symptoms on here, because there are quite a lot. You don't have to have all of them. In fact, I'd say probably no one does, but you know that they're, as with any of these things, it's like if you had 10 or 12 of them, you know, you'd think you'd have it. It's not like a recipe where you have to have every ingredient to make the end product. It's not like that. So yeah, I'm just going to give you some examples. So you can have mental health kind of ones. So your standard things, so anxiety, OCD, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, self-harm, that kind of thing. There's cognitive and learning behavioural anomalies. So you got, you know, auditory processing difficulties, for example, where you're not able to, you know, hear and understand stuff. You're kind of switched off, really. And brain fogs, sleep issues. Then you've got communication and interaction. Onset of stuttering. I think I had that when I was younger. That was one of the things that happened to me. Trouble with peers. Reactivity. And by that, it means like how much what other people say and do around you affects you. You know, it even goes into like screaming and verbal outbursts. And then you have sensory and physical needs, things like tics, eating disorders, even urinary frequency. So how often you go to the loo. That can be something, if that is way out of proportion, you know, all of a sudden that can be a sign. And there's many others here on the PANSPANDASUK.org website, which I will talk about later, because that's quite important and I need to go into that as a whole thing itself. But there's so many that I'm not going to list them all now for you here, but those are, you can kind of get the idea of some of it. So now I'm going to describe, I don't know, in some weird way or another, what I've been through in a really short letter. So I have PANS. Now, this all really starts, we think, when I was about 2. However, we had no idea what PANS was until early 2019, because my daddy was scrolling through BBC News app, as you do, and he was looking through, and he saw a story. I don't know if it was on. He saw this news story, and it was about this kid who had PANS, and he showed it to Mummy, and she was like, they had a list of what the symptoms or effects this kid was experiencing, and Mummy just went, that's Mitch. That perfectly describes Mitch. And so they started looking into it and digging into it, and over the process of these last 2 years, we now have an understanding of what I have and how to fix it. Well, manage it is more appropriate. But my first PANDAS attack, we reckon, was when I was 2, in the hospital. At the time, they gave me ibuprofen, and I just went into a complete temper tantrum. Massive. And I wasn't like that as a child. I didn't really do that much. And so it was completely out of the blue for everyone there, and they just went, don't give him ibuprofen again, because they thought I might have had an allergic reaction to it. But now, understanding PANS, we looked into it, and once we'd understood and assumed that it was PANS, the main thing that on the PANDAS groups we could find was ibuprofen, because it being an anti-inflammatory, it calms the swelling on the brain. So we were like, well, I was at home for a couple of weeks in the holidays, and Mum was just like, well, we may as well give this a shot. So I tried it, and I was absolutely fine, and it calmed down my PAN symptoms. My OCD almost completely went. I was so much calmer. I had no mood swings or anything. I was fine. And so that proved 2 things, really. One, that it wasn't the ibuprofen, because I had no reaction to the ibuprofen whatsoever, and I've not had any since. And 2, that this PANS thing might be a real problem for me, and what was causing this. The first major PANS attack I had was when I was older, was at my last school, not St John's, before St John's. And I don't want to go into too much of what happened there, because it was really bad. So that's what happened now. I will show a picture around here of one time after a PANS attack, one of my bad ones, that's me several hours after the incident had occurred, and it shows how much it affected me even at that young age. I'm warning, if you are quite sensitive, this next bit that I'm going to talk about is a bit upsetting. So just if you want to, I'll put a time frame in here to skip to if you want to skip that part. Because on one occasion when I was there, and one occasion just after I'd left that school, and then one occasion at St John's, so that's 3 in total, I tried to commit suicide as a result of a PANS attack. Now, it was tough at the time, but the thing was, it was a switch, because the first time, by the time we even got to the hospital, I was fine. I'm completely fine. And yet, half an hour ago, I was trying to throw myself off a bridge. So it's this snapping in and out of emotions that is possibly the hardest thing I've had to deal with PANS. And I've been admitted to hospital twice. I've been under cams 3 times. So, it's not been easy for me. And I think that's what even people close to me don't know, is they see me bounce back, and obviously they see me go, but they're not there through all of it, because a lot of times, they can't be, or I don't want to put them through that, because that's not fair on them. But, I'm still here, so I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess. Yeah, but So, my PANS it has lots of levels, so like it won't be just immediately we go to that full extreme that I just discussed. We, that's not an every time it happens, because I go through periods, particularly in the winter, where there's lots of infections and stuff, where colds and that. I deal with PANS on a daily basis to a level, not to that serious level, but like just the OCD, the tics, the anxiety, that kind of thing, every day. So it can be anything from that little OCD and that to something stronger, and I found a decent way to explain it, which is through racing, obviously. So I've made a couple of clips to explain it. So it can be anything from like a slow build up through the day, like this. Lovely day, sun is shining, everything's fine. Let's go. From the pit crew to get me back on track, because so fix this, because it's going horribly wrong.
Copy that, pit request confirmed. We're ready for you when you are.
To a sudden explosion of emotions like this.
We can see some damage to the rear end of the car, and it may affect the aero, so you might pick up some oversteer. It's your call, you can come in early or tough it out.
How'd that happen? And it can also have different ways how I feel and how I interact. So sometimes it feels like everything slows down and I know what I should be doing and I just can't. I can't stop it. I know it's happening and I just can't do anything about it. Kind of like this. Don't worry about that. So now we're coming into the bus stop, over to the left hand side and brake and turn. What's happening? No!
The suspension's damaged. You'll probably need to pit for repairs.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it involves others, and it all goes down somewhat like this. Okay. Back at you then.
On your right.
No! In the gravel, in the gravel. Bad thing. No! Oh dear. Oh, that wasn't my...
Telemetry showing aero damage.
I didn't
Your time
mean to...
starts suffering, you better come in for repairs.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Now, I count myself as one of the luckiest of the PANS kids that I've seen the stories of on the support groups and stuff, because I have had, since I left that first school, I have had the best support possible. I discovered about, well, I say my parents discovered about PANS a couple of months, possibly more, after I left, after I joined St John's. I think I said it was 2019. It might have been actually 2018, I think, because years get a bit confused. So it was around then, because they went through that whole journey with me, because we started off thinking it was just me, my head, you know, the standard thing, just anxiety and depression. But then we went through the whole experience with PANS, learning more and more, learning how to deal with it better and better, from the worst to the end where I was practically fine. And I couldn't have done it without them, and that's why I'm so grateful to them, and that's why I'm making I'm in the process of making so many thank you videos for them and individual teachers and staff because of what they did. Also, my GP has been amazing, because I'll go into it later, but PANDAS isn't recognised in the UK, and I will go into that later because that is a really important part of this video today. But my GP was brilliant, and the neurologist I now see every 6 months for a checkup, he is brilliant as well, and everything they've done for me is fantastic, and I cannot thank them enough. So I've been on this whole journey, and I'm not out of it. I'm still dealing with it, but I'm towards the end. I have this amazing certificate from Aspire, which was awarded to me as as it says on it, for outstanding strength and tenacity while healing from PANDAS during the 2020-2021 school year. And yeah, it was tough, but you know, I'm on the better side of it now. But a lot of people aren't. And this is where we get to more out of my story, because if you want to know more on specific day-to-day or what's happened in the past, go and look at my social medias and stuff. Just scroll back, you know, you'll find some stuff in there somewhere, and I'll be putting out more as we go. But yeah, this is more about PANDAS in general than me today. So yeah, that was pretty much my story. I mean, it's a bit muddled because, unfortunately, because of what happened, because I got bullied as well at my that first school, I have apparently, so I've been told, I have normal anxiety anyway without PANS, and I have have PTSD from the bullying. So we're not talking nowhere near as bad as war vets get and stuff, but I do have triggers from what teachers have said if they talk similar, you know, if they use the same language, what the bullies have said, that kind of thing. I get triggers from that. And it also means I've kind of blacked out certain years. There are certain years that I really don't remember. So like my music taste is stuck in like 2016, because 2017 and most of 2018 I've kind of blacked out. So like I kind of skipped my memory from 2016 to 2018. It's all a bit of a blur. So my timelines are messed up, my memory's messed up, and as you can tell, this video's kind of messed up. But yeah, hey, we're here now. So now I'm going to move on to talk about the organisation PANDAS UK. And what we're aiming to do and what this day is about. So there's some pretty, for me, disturbing but important facts to know. So recently, the BPNA, which I believe stands for British Paediatric Neurological Association, I think, have released a statement on pandas. And I believe in that statement they basically dismissed it. I'm not sure, but I think that's what they put out. PANSPANDAS UK have released a response, obviously, but this is pretty worrying, considering that the World Health Organization do recognise PANSPANDAS. The fact that the British, the British don't, is concerning. We want to change this. This is what PANSPANDAS UK is all about. We want to change. We want to change it for the kids because, you know, it took us years to find out that's what it was. PANSPANDAS UK, I believe, started up in 2017, so they've been going for 4 years now. Or at least I think that was the first time they did PANSPANDAS Awareness Day, so I think it's around then. But it's there's more worrying things, like less than 5% of GPs suggested that PANS or PANDAS should be investigated unprompted by parents. So this means that less than 5% of GPs have gone, maybe you should look at this, to parents, without the parents coming to them and going, we think it might be this. Now, we did go to our GP and say that, but we were quite lucky at the fact that our GP just went, yeah, all right. Rather than some stories we've heard of them dismissing them out of hand, going, no, you're absolutely wrong. So, you know, but it's still worrying that less than 5%, you know, that's incredibly worrying. Somewhere here I saw one that said less than 10% of children that are believed to have pandas are ever diagnosed. So, I mean, that's shocking. If you saw that for something like, I don't know, autism, or, you know, cancers, or those kind of things, epilepsy, there'd be a national outcry. But because people don't know enough, it's not out there. And that's the whole thing. We need to change that because, you know, a lot of you watching this are friends of mine and that, so you'll know. But if you don't, you know, just ask people in the comments. Ask me, I don't know, ask me directly on Instagram and Facebook, or in the comments below. People will tell you, you know, this is serious. You know, this does affect people as badly as autisms and that. This is a big thing, and if people aren't getting recognised, this is seriously damaging people's childhoods. You can lose so much. Like I said, I don't really remember 2 whole years of my life just gone because of the experiences I had in them meant that my brain's forgotten them, you know, and I've lost so many functional skills and stuff through it. Like I'm so far behind on just common sense and that, you know. I can't even make myself a sandwich because the years where normal parents would say, well, you can get your own lunch now, you can go out and buy your own stuff and do that kind of thing. I was in and out of hospital. I was recovering, you know. I lost all that, and so many other kids are too. So, you know, we need to change stuff, and that is my aim for this video. I want to share to you guys what PANSPANDAS are trying to share, PANSPANDAS UK are trying to share, because this means so much to me and it is so important, and today is the day to do it. But, you know, this is just crazy. it's important that now I move on. We need to know how you can help, like what to do. And the main thing is awareness, okay? You've probably never heard of it before this video or before meeting me or whatever. You've probably never even, come across it, words on a page or in a book or anything, because it's not there. We want to get it there. That's the aim. So, first of all, I would ask you, go onto Facebook, go onto Instagram, look up PANDAS UK and follow them straight away, okay? All the support you can get on their posts, just comment on stuff, share it, like it, because, algorithms and everything mean the more interaction you get, the further it goes. We need to get this out as far as we can, because we need to help these people, okay? This is just the same as, all the other conditions that you get appeals from, but it doesn't get the same publicity. We need that publicity because it's kind of a catch-22 kind of thing, because if you don't get the publicity, it doesn't get noticed as much. If it doesn't get noticed as much, you need more publicity, but you're not getting that publicity because you're not getting noticed as much, and it's just a spiral of this situation. So whereas other conditions may have the publicity now, so they're getting noticed, so they're getting more publicity because people are aware of it, PANDAS hasn't got there yet. We want to get it there. I want to get it there. So just look up PANDAS UK on Facebook. I'm on their Facebook page right now. I've been going through it for the past day, looking at trying to get as much information for this video as possible outside of my own experience. Just go on their page. Go like it. Go share some posts, because this is important. It may seem like, it's a minor thing, it doesn't affect. This may affect so many more people that don't even know it exists. It's just like when autism first came about. It's just like when any of these things first come about. If nobody knows about them, it's going to seem small. But as soon as people start getting and looking into it, you find more and more people affected and more reasons why you need to do something about it. This is exactly the same. So, PANDAS UK is a charitable organisation. They have a full charity number. This isn't some, random thing. This is a real charity. They are doing real work to help people like me and to help kids get the support they need. But they're a charity. And as always, that means they need as much help in any place as they can get. Now, what they're always focused on is raising awareness. So sharing their posts is the most important and probably best thing you can do. Share as many of those posts, get it out to your friends, get it out to family, get it out to anyone you know, and get them to do the same, because at the end of the day, the more people on board, the more people you get on board. It's a multiplier. And this means so much to me, I can't even think straight, right? You can also donate. It is a charity. It is a charitable organisation. They do need donations to carry on. So if you want to donate, that is fantastic. But like I say, if you can't, just share the stuff. Get it out there and read about it yourself. It's all very well me telling you, and it's all very well sharing the stuff. But the more you can understand about it, the better as well, because then you can recognise it. And then you can go to people, if you think that their kid is demonstrating examples of PANS, you can go, maybe give it a look. Go check it out. If you haven't seen it before, go look it up, because, you might see something there. Just find out as much as possible. And once you do, then share that with as many people as you can. And we'll be right on the way to where we need to be. But this isn't an isolated battle. This is a national battle that they're having. This is a global battle that people are having. And, you know, the more everyone does, the better, and the more that you guys can do, the better, because, you know, you're watching my video, so, you know, I've not been on YouTube very long. I don't have many subscribers. I don't have many people watching my video. The chances are all of you watching this will know me, and this means so much to me. And if you could just share this, share the stuff you find on PANSPANDAS UK, share all the info you've got with as many people as you can, it would mean so much, and it would help more people than you realise. You know, this isn't isolated to me, this isn't just me, and so many people are struggling, and there are so many inspiring stories on here, but there are also so many sad stories of people who have been let down by so many people because the knowledge isn't there. We need to get the knowledge there, so please help me get that in any way that you can. So, all the PANSPANDAS UK social media and their website will be in the description, hopefully, if I can put it in there. I should be able to, so it'll be in there. Please just look, check it out, just share as much as you can, please. It is so important. I know I keep saying and repeating myself, but that is the most important thing you can do. Share this, not just this video, but all their posts, their information that you can find, share it around, and just actually look at it. Try and understand it as much as you can, because it just takes that little bit of effort, but then you can do so much more. And this is so important. So find the info, share the info. I don't feel like that's a lot to ask, and I really hope you do. So all that info is there. I've given it to you, so you've now got to go do something with it. So I really hope you do. This has been a bit of a heavy video, I guess, but it is important. And there are so many kids who are not as lucky as I am now. They are still stuck where I was 3 years ago. And, you know, I want to help them. PANSPANDAS wants to help them. But we need as much help as possible. So, you know, no one should ever have to go through the stuff that my parents went through, that I went through, and particularly not when they're like 5, 6, 7 years old. That's not fair. And so much can be done if people just knew. So please, please, do something. As little or as much as you can. Okay? Please. This isn't about me. This is, for once, something bigger. So, well, thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far. And I'll see you all next time.